Thomas Edison, the man who lit the world. Welcome, dear viewers, to English Ascent. Thank you for joining this inspiring journey where we learn English through powerful life stories. On this channel, we explore the lives of great personalities who changed the world through courage, determination, and creativity. Our goal is simple: to help you improve your English while discovering the stories of people whose ideas shaped human history. Today, we begin the extraordinary story of Thomas Edison, a man whose inventions transformed modern life. The light bulb that brightens our homes, the phonograph that first recorded sound, and many other innovations came from his brilliant mind. Yet his life was not easy. Behind his success were thousands of failures, deep curiosity, and the courage to keep trying when others gave up. Thomas Alva Edison was born on February 11, 1847, in the small town of Milan, Ohio. His father, Samuel Edison, worked hard in different businesses to support the family. His mother, Nancy Edison, was a former schoolteacher who strongly believed in education. Thomas was the youngest child in the family. From an early age, he showed great curiosity about the world. While other children played simple games, young Thomas constantly asked questions. He wanted to understand how things worked, why the wind blew, why the sky changed colors, and how machines could move. Many adults did not understand his constant questioning, but his mother believed this curiosity was a sign of intelligence. When Thomas first went to school, he did not do well in the traditional classroom. He found it difficult to sit quietly and memorize lessons. Instead of accepting information silently, he asked many questions. His teacher became frustrated and believed Thomas was not a good student. One day, the teacher even suggested that Thomas was slow and unable to learn properly. When his mother heard this, she strongly disagreed. She believed her son simply needed a different way of learning. Nancy Edison decided to remove him from school and teach him at home. This decision changed Thomas Edison's life forever. At home, his mother encouraged him to read and explore ideas. She introduced him to books about science, history, and philosophy and allowed him to learn at his own pace. Soon, Thomas developed a deep interest in science. He loved reading about experiments and discoveries and wanted to conduct his own. When he was about 10 years old, Thomas built a small laboratory in the basement of his house. He collected bottles, chemicals, wires, and other materials and spent hours experimenting. Sometimes the experiments created strange smells that filled the house, and sometimes they produced unexpected reactions. But Thomas enjoyed every moment because each experiment taught him something new. As he grew older, Thomas also began working to help his family. At the age of 12, he started selling newspapers, fruits, and snacks on trains traveling between Port Huron, Michigan, and Detroit, Michigan. Instead of wasting time during the long journeys, he read books and thought about new ideas. Soon, he noticed that passengers were always eager to read the latest news. This observation gave him an idea. With permission from the railway company, Thomas set up a small printing press inside a train car and began publishing his own newspaper. He named it the Grand Trunk Herald, and it became one of the first newspapers ever printed on a moving train. Passengers enjoyed reading it, and Thomas earned extra money from this creative idea. But Thomas was not satisfied with only running a newspaper. He also turned part of the train car into a small laboratory where he could continue his experiments. One day, however, one of his chemical experiments accidentally caused a small fire inside the train. The conductor became very angry and threw all of Thomas's equipment off the train. This event ended his traveling laboratory, but it did not stop his curiosity. Around the same time, Thomas began experiencing hearing problems and gradually lost much of his ability to hear. Some people believed it was caused by illness, while others thought it resulted from the train accident. Instead of feeling discouraged, Thomas accepted this condition calmly. He later said that his partial deafness actually helped him concentrate better because it reduced distractions around him. One day, an incident happened that would change the direction of his life. At a railway station, Thomas saw a small child playing dangerously close to the tracks while a train was approaching. Without thinking about the danger, he ran forward and pulled the child away just in time. The boy's father was extremely grateful. He was the station master and wanted to reward Thomas for saving his child. To show his gratitude, he offered to teach Thomas an important skill: telegraphy. Telegraph machines were the main form of long-distance communication during that time. Messages could travel across cities and countries through electrical signals sent along wires. Thomas quickly became fascinated by this technology and practiced day and night, learning how to send and receive telegraph messages. Soon he became skilled enough to work as a telegraph operator in different towns and cities. This new skill opened the door to a world of technology and invention. The curious boy who once experimented in his basement was now entering a field where electricity and communication would shape his future. As a young teenager, Edison began working as a telegraph operator. In the 19th century, the telegraph was the fastest way to send messages across long distances. Using electrical signals and coded messages, people could communicate across cities in minutes instead of days. Edison became deeply interested in this technology. While many operators simply did their job and rested, Edison spent his free time studying machines and electrical circuits. He carefully observed how telegraph equipment worked and often tried to improve it. He developed the habit of working late at night. While the office was quiet, Edison experimented with wires, batteries, and signals. His co-workers were surprised by his dedication because he wanted to understand machines completely. However, Edison's journey was not easy. His experiments sometimes caused problems in telegraph offices. On several occasions, his experiments accidentally damaged equipment or interrupted communication lines. Because of this, he lost a few jobs. Yet every failure taught him something new. Instead of becoming discouraged, Edison treated these mistakes as lessons. He believed that success often comes after many failures. During this time, Edison also began creating his first inventions. His early ideas focused on improving telegraph systems. One of his first inventions was an automatic telegraph repeater, a device that could send signals over long distances without human operators repeating the message. Another invention allowed two messages to be sent at the same time through a single telegraph wire. This technology improved communication efficiency and attracted the attention of telegraph companies. Although these inventions were important, Edison was still struggling financially. He often lived in small rented rooms and worked long hours just to survive. Sometimes he had very little money for food or clothing. Yet his passion for invention kept him moving forward. In the late 1860s, Thomas Edison moved to Boston, Massachusetts, which was an important center of science and technology at that time. The city had libraries, scientific societies, and many skilled engineers. Here, Edison found an environment that encouraged innovation. He spent time reading scientific books and discussing ideas with other inventors. These experiences expanded his knowledge and gave him confidence to pursue bigger projects. One of his early inventions during this period was an electric vote recorder. This device was designed to help lawmakers record votes quickly in legislative assemblies. Edison believed the invention would be useful because it could save time and make voting more efficient. However, when he presented it to politicians, they rejected the idea. The reason surprised him. Many lawmakers preferred slow voting procedures because they gave them time to negotiate and influence decisions. A fast voting machine did not fit their political interests. This failure taught Edison an important lesson. He realized that an invention must not only be technically brilliant but also practical and useful for people who will use it. After this experience, Edison decided that he would focus on inventions that people truly needed. Soon he moved again, this time to New York City, hoping to find better opportunities. At first, life in New York was extremely difficult. Edison arrived with very little money and struggled to find work. His luck changed when a telegraph system in a financial office suddenly stopped working. This system transmitted stock market prices, so it was extremely important. Edison quickly offered to repair the machine. Using his technical skills, he fixed the system in a short time. The managers were impressed and offered him a well-paying job to maintain and improve their telegraph equipment. This opportunity allowed Edison to stabilize his life and continue his experiments. Soon he began developing improved telegraph systems that could send multiple messages at the same time. These inventions attracted the attention of large companies. For one of his improved designs, Edison received a large payment. For the first time in his life, he had enough money to build his own laboratory. This was a turning point in his journey. Instead of working for others, Edison could now focus completely on creating new inventions. In the early 1870s, Edison decided to create a place where invention could happen every day. For this purpose, he established a research laboratory in Menlo Park, New Jersey. This laboratory soon became famous around the world. It was one of the first places where scientists and engineers worked together to develop new technologies. Many historians later called Menlo Park the first industrial research laboratory. Inside the laboratory, Edison and his assistants worked long hours, often late into the night. They tested thousands of ideas, built machines, and recorded every experiment. Edison believed that invention required continuous effort and experimentation. Menlo Park soon became a center of creativity. Visitors, journalists, and scientists came from many places to see the work happening there. One evening in 1877, Edison began experimenting with ways to record sound vibrations. At that time, no machine could capture and reproduce the human voice. After many experiments, he built a small machine with a rotating cylinder covered in thin metal foil. When someone spoke into the device, sound vibrations moved a needle that created marks on the foil. When the cylinder rotated again, the needle followed those marks and reproduced the sound. For the first time in history, a machine could record and play back the human voice. This remarkable invention was called the phonograph. When Edison first demonstrated the phonograph, people were amazed. They could hardly believe their machine could speak. Some listeners even felt frightened because it seemed almost magical. Newspapers quickly reported the invention, and Edison became famous across the country. People began calling him the Wizard of Menlo Park. However, Edison did not stop there. While the phonograph brought him fame, he was already working on an even bigger challenge, creating a practical electric light. During the 19th century, most homes were lit by candles or oil lamps. These sources of light were dangerous and inefficient. Many inventors had tried to develop electric lights, but the designs were not practical for everyday use. Edison believed electric lighting could transform cities and homes if it became reliable and affordable. The challenge was extremely difficult. To create a useful electric light bulb, Edison needed to find a material that could glow brightly without burning too quickly. This glowing material, called a filament, had to survive long hours of electricity. Edison and his team began testing hundreds of materials. They experimented with metal wires, plant fibers, and unusual substances. Some filaments burned out within seconds, while others lasted only a few minutes. But Edison refused to give up. For months and even years, he continued experimenting. His team tested thousands of materials, carefully observing which lasted longer. Finally, after countless experiments, Edison discovered that a thin carbon filament made from carbonized bamboo could glow for many hours without burning out. This discovery led to the development of the practical incandescent light bulb. In 1879, Edison successfully demonstrated his electric light bulb to the public at Menlo Park, where visitors saw buildings illuminated by electric light for the first time. The effect was breathtaking. Instead of flickering flames, the lamps produced a steady glow. People quickly realized that this invention could change everyday life. But Edison knew the light bulb alone was not enough. For electric lighting to become practical, a complete system was needed: generators to produce power, wires to carry electricity, and switches to control the lights. So Edison and his team began building an electrical system. They designed generators, developed wiring networks, and created safety devices to control electric power. Their goal was to bring electricity into homes, businesses, and streets. Soon electric lighting systems appeared in cities. Streets that were once dark at night glowed with bright lamps, and homes became safer because they no longer depended on oil lamps. Edison's invention did more than create light. It transformed modern civilization. Factories could operate longer hours, cities became safer at night, and people entered a new era of technological progress. Edison's work at Menlo Park made him one of the most famous inventors in the world. His laboratory became a symbol of creativity, persistence, and innovation. Yet even after these successes, Edison did not stop experimenting. His mind continued searching for new ideas and better technologies. The story of Thomas Edison was far from over. After the successful invention of the electric light bulb, Thomas Edison knew his work was far from finished. A light bulb alone could not change the world unless electricity could reach homes, streets, and factories. Edison began focusing on creating this complete electrical system. His goal was to bring safe and reliable electric power to cities. He and his team designed generators that could produce electricity on a large scale. They also created meters, switches, and wiring networks that could deliver electricity to buildings. One of the most important steps in this effort was the construction of the first commercial electric power station in New York City in 1882. This power station, located on Pearl Street, began supplying electricity to homes and businesses in the surrounding area. For the first time in history, people were able to turn on electric lights in their homes simply by using a switch. The warm glow of electric light replaced candles and oil lamps. Streets became brighter and safer at night, and businesses could operate more efficiently. This development marked the beginning of the modern electrical age. However, during this time, a major technological debate was taking place in the world of electricity. Edison strongly supported a system called direct current, often known as DC electricity. His electrical networks were designed to distribute power using this method. Another brilliant inventor, Nikola Tesla, believed that a different system called alternating current or AC electricity was more efficient for sending power over long distances. Tesla's ideas were later supported by the industrialist George Westinghouse. This disagreement between supporters of DC and AC electricity became known as the War of Currents. Edison believed his system was safer and more reliable, while Tesla and Westinghouse argued that AC electricity could travel much farther without losing energy. The debate became intense. Both sides tried to convince the public that their system was the best. Over time, alternating current proved more practical for delivering electricity across large distances, and many power systems eventually adopted the AC method. Even though Edison's DC system was not used everywhere, his work had already laid the foundation for the electrical infrastructure that modern society depends on today. His inventions, ideas, and research played a crucial role in the development of electric technology. But Edison's curiosity and creativity did not stop with electricity. In the late 1880s and early 1890s, he became interested in another fascinating idea: capturing moving images. People had already invented photography, which allowed them to capture still pictures. But Edison wondered whether it might be possible to record motion. Working with his assistant William Kennedy Dixon, he began developing a system that could photograph a series of images quickly and play them back in sequence. After many experiments, they created a device called the kinetoscope. This machine allowed people to watch short moving pictures through a small viewing window. Although it could only be viewed by one person at a time, the kinetoscope represented an important step in the development of motion pictures. Later inventors expanded on this idea to create modern cinema. Through inventions like the phonograph, electric lighting systems, and early motion picture technology, Edison helped shape several industries that still exist today: recorded music, electric power, and film entertainment. His laboratory continued producing inventions at an astonishing rate. Over the course of his lifetime, Edison received more than 1,000 patents for his creations and improvements. But Edison's success was not only the result of intelligence. It was also the result of extraordinary perseverance. Many of his experiments failed hundreds or even thousands of times before achieving success. When someone once asked him about these failures, Edison replied that he had not failed. Instead, he had simply discovered thousands of ways that did not work. This mindset became one of the most powerful lessons from his life. He believed that every failed attempt was a step closer to success. As his reputation grew, Edison became one of the most famous inventors in the world. Journalists, scientists, and business leaders visited his laboratories to see how he worked. People admired not only his inventions, but also his work ethic. Edison often worked for many hours without rest, sometimes sleeping only a few hours each night. His mind was always searching for new problems to solve and new technologies to develop. Yet despite his fame, Edison remained focused on the same goal that had guided him since childhood: understanding how things worked and finding ways to improve them. The boy who once experimented with chemicals in a basement laboratory had now become a symbol of innovation and determination. And although he had already transformed modern life with his inventions, the later years of his life would reveal even deeper lessons about leadership, perseverance, and the true meaning of success. As the years passed, Thomas Edison had already become one of the most famous inventors in the world. His laboratories had produced revolutionary inventions, and his ideas had transformed industries such as electric power, sound recording, and motion pictures. Yet Edison never believed that learning or innovation should stop. Even in the later years of his life, he continued to experiment, study new technologies, and search for ways to improve everyday life. One of the most interesting aspects of Edison's later life was his friendship with the famous automobile pioneer Henry Ford. Ford deeply admired Edison and often described him as his greatest inspiration. When Ford was a young engineer working on early automobile engines, he once had the opportunity to meet Edison and explain his ideas. Edison listened carefully as Ford described his vision of building affordable automobiles for ordinary people. Instead of criticizing the idea, Edison strongly encouraged him. He believed Ford's vision had great potential and told him to continue working on it. This encouragement had a powerful effect on Ford. He later said that Edison's support gave him the confidence to pursue his dream. Eventually, Ford succeeded in building the famous Ford Model T, which made automobiles affordable for millions of people. The friendship between Edison and Ford continued for many years. They spent time together discussing science, technology, and the future of industry. Their relationship symbolized the spirit of innovation that shaped the early 20th century. Edison also became close friends with other influential figures of his time, including Harvey S. Firestone, the founder of a major tire company. Together, Edison, Ford, and Firestone sometimes traveled on camping trips where they shared ideas about technology, business, and the future. Even during these relaxed moments, Edison's curiosity never disappeared. He constantly asked questions, observed the natural world, and thought about new inventions. In his later years, Edison also focused on improving industrial research. He believed that innovation could be achieved through organized teamwork and systematic experimentation. His laboratories became models for modern research institutions where scientists, engineers, and technicians worked together to solve complex problems. Edison also explored new fields such as chemical production and energy storage. Although not all of his later projects were successful, he continued experimenting with the same enthusiasm that had guided him since childhood. One of the most admirable qualities of Edison was his attitude toward failure. Throughout his career, he had experienced countless unsuccessful experiments. However, he never saw failure as defeat. He believed that each unsuccessful attempt simply revealed another path that did not work. This mindset allowed him to remain patient and persistent even during long periods of uncertainty. His famous approach to invention can be summarized in his belief that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% hard work. In other words, success depends far more on effort, persistence, and discipline than on sudden moments of brilliance. As Edison grew older, his health slowly began to decline. However, he continued working in his laboratory whenever possible. Even when his body became weaker, his mind remained active and curious. Finally, on October 18, 1931, Thomas Edison passed away at the age of 84. His death marked the end of an extraordinary life that had shaped modern civilization. Across the United States, people honored his memory. In many places, electric lights were dimmed for a short time as a tribute to the man who had helped illuminate the world. By the time of his death, Edison had received more than 1,000 patents. These inventions covered a wide range of technologies, including electric lighting systems, sound recording devices, communication equipment, and motion picture technology. But his greatest legacy was not only the machines he created. It was also the spirit of curiosity and perseverance that he demonstrated throughout his life. Edison's journey teaches us several powerful lessons. One of the most important is the value of curiosity. From childhood, he constantly asked questions and explored new ideas. This curiosity opened the door to discovery and innovation. Another lesson from his life is the importance of persistence. Many of Edison's inventions required thousands of experiments before they succeeded. Instead of giving up, he continued learning from each attempt. His life also shows the power of practical thinking. After the failure of his early vote recording machine, Edison realized that inventions must solve real problems for people. From that moment onward, he focused on creating technologies that could improve everyday life. Edison also demonstrated the importance of teamwork. Although he is often remembered as a single genius, many of his achievements came from collaboration with skilled assistants and engineers in his laboratories. He understood that great ideas often grow stronger when people work together. Another lesson from Edison's life is humility. Despite becoming famous around the world, he continued to experiment, study, and learn new things. He believed that knowledge is always expanding and that every generation must continue the search for improvement. The story of Thomas Edison also reminds us that innovation can change the course of history. Electric lighting extended the productive hours of cities. Sound recording allowed music and voices to be preserved. Motion picture technology opened the door to modern cinema. These inventions influenced education, entertainment, communication, and industry. They reshaped the way people lived, worked, and experienced the world. Yet behind these achievements was a simple philosophy: never stop asking questions, never stop experimenting, and never stop trying to improve the world around you. Thomas Edison's life shows that greatness does not appear suddenly. It grows slowly through curiosity, discipline, patience, and the courage to continue even when success seems far away. From a curious boy experimenting in a basement laboratory to a legendary inventor whose ideas illuminated the world, Edison's journey remains one of the most inspiring stories in human history. His legacy continues to guide inventors, scientists, and dreamers everywhere, reminding us that with determination and imagination, even the most ambitious ideas can become reality. And dear viewers, this was the inspiring journey of Thomas Edison, a man whose curiosity, perseverance, and creativity brought light to the modern world. You are watching English Ascent. Tell us in the comments, whose life story should we explore next? Your suggestions may become our next inspiring journey.